Winter in the Northland. Lakes are covered by ice and snow, but under that covering, fish are still active. But as winter progresses, snow piles up and mobility gets difficult. Locating those fish can be a real challenge. How do we find them in all that? Well, I can tell you, we've got our ways. My good friend Steve Pennaz is a member of the Minnesota Fishing Hall of Fame and a veteran fishing TV host. He's also an expert in utilizing the very latest in technology to break down unfamiliar lakes and find fish. And today he's going to show us step by step how he does it on the ice. It starts before we even get on the lake.
What I'd like to do is I actually bring a 2D sonar and live scope. So I've got two different units. And what I want to do is go to the maps, just go to charts, go to fishing charts. And the nice thing about these maps is they really provide a great contours. You can see I've got the setup so it actually gives me the contours in colors so I can start seeing things. But what I'm looking for are these deep holes. These crappies will slide into these deep holes like this. And this lake has a ton of different deep holes on it. I want to get away from the ramp and get away from the crowds here, and just start looking for these areas. Now this one drops all the way down to 50. And you can see by how tight the rings are, how fast this breaks.
After choosing a likely starting point, the Garmin GPS leads us right to the spot. So we were fairly fortunate this morning. We were pretty much able to drive right to the first hole that we found that Steve had pinpointed on the Lakeview map. It's right here. So we just punched the hole. Now we're going to drop down the electronics. In the old days, we would have had to punch holes all around this entire thing, dozens of them. Drop down your regular cone sonar and check each one. And now I'm going to show you how we do it using the electronics instead. It's called Garmin Panoptix LiveScope, and it's a revolution in sonar technology that doesn't just look straight down as sonar has for years, but allows an angler to look out and around their location up to 90 feet in any direction. An absolute game changer on the ice.
Okay, so I'm just going to spin this now. Got some fish almost literally right underneath us. There's fish here. So they're 60 feet out, down 30 feet. I'm not seeing a lot of fish in this hole. There's these fish here. Now they're at 25, 30. And you can see how the bottom starts coming up right here. So if I go back home and I go to my charts and I go to fishing charts, you can see where we're at. We're on a kind of a deep hole here. It's not a big hole though. So I'm gonna go back to Panoptix, and I've got a fish on the bottom right underneath us right now, but I'm really not seeing a ton of fish. This one here, 55, is still standing there. No, this is one of those situations, you know, 25 years ago, I'd pull up to the spot and I'd go with augers and then walk from hole to hole with the 2D sonar. But I mean, that's not a ton of fun and it's not that productive. So we found that I'm just gonna trust the electronics. We don't have enough fish here to bother fishing right now. They're just not that kind of numbers.
So rather than spend a couple of hours drilling 24 holes looking for fish, just one hole in about 2 minutes tells us everything we need to know. The crappies are not in this area. So it's back to the Lakeview map and on to the next spot, where we repeat the process. Drill one hole instead of 10 and drop in the live scope.
Anyway, there's a fish right there. My bait's right here. So that fish he's like 15 feet away and he's going away from me. Now that fish actually looks like a walleye. It looks too long and thin to be a crappie. And the fact he's riding bottom is pretty indicative of that. But I'd take a walleye right now. We did see some crappie down here when we first pulled up. It took me a little bit while to get rigged up and stuff, and they've left. But I can actually still scan, you know, 20 feet each way What I don't like is that fish clearly saw my bait and still didn't react. And so one of the things about live scope is not that you catch more fish, but you actually see fish response to your presentations, and it helps you kind of judge, you know, what their mood is and what actually is working.
So spot number 2 isn't right either. Back to the map and back on the move. In about 90 minutes, we covered a half dozen likely spots, and the live scope told us to keep moving every time. Finally, at stop number 7, it showed us what we'd been looking for.
That's what we're looking for right there. Big pot of crappies. They're moving. You can see how they're moving now. They're 10 feet away, but they're going this way.
It's really cool how, based on just what the live scope tells us, rather than just randomly punching holes all around this area, we know for a fact that 40 feet over that way is this giant school of crappies. Right, so Steve's punching a hole, and we're going to go over there and see. So we moved our 30-40 feet, and now you'll see we're right on top of them. We're right on top of them, right there. So let's get a line down there and see if we can catch one.
Fish coming up already? Got him. Oh, that's a good crappie too, look at that. Oh yeah. I love this search and rescue. That's a big fish. Wow. What is this? Is that nice? Oh my gosh, look at the size of this crappie.
Man, Steve.
That's what's so fun about this. That's what's so fun about this. That's a 14-incher.
The phrase game changer is a bit cliche, but in this case, it truly fits. Just a couple winters ago, it would have taken us a full day or more to cover the water we did in just a couple of hours today. And what easily could have been a frustrating no-fish day ended up in winter crappie success.